friends, it's Jana Eubank for Hip Kit Club, and I am loving the June 2023 Hip Kits. These kits feature the exclusively designed collection called Free Spirit by Hip Kit Club, and they are gorgeous. They feature all kinds of icons for the outdoors, beautiful florals, branches, all kinds of textures in the embellishments. I am having so much fun. So this layout today that I'm creating is using some photos of my son actually recreating the cover of the John Denver Rocky Mountain High album. He has loved John Denver ever since he was a little kid, and back in 2017, him and my husband took a road trip to Colorado, visiting John Denver's house, going to all the little campsites that he, wrote music in, and of course stopping outside of Aspen, Colorado to recreate this famous photo of John Denver on the Rocky Mountain High album cover. So my son dressed in similar clothes as John Denver, and I thought it'd be really fun to combine these two photos together on this layout. So for the background, I used this Aztec diamond pattern paper called Who's Got the Map. I matted it with the Vacay Orange cardstock from the cardstock kit, and then I went ahead and matted up my photos on the cardstocks from the cardstock kit as well. Now I knew I wanted to add some pine trees to this layout, and I already used the pine trees that came in the embellishment kit that were part of the mountain die cuts that you saw me playing with there for a moment. So I thought that I would pull out the Fringe die that was also released in June and try my hand at creating my own fringy pine trees. So that's what I'm doing here. I cut out two little sections of this Fringe die and placed them front to front, so to speak, as I cut the angles of the pine tree. That way they would be symmetrical on both sides of the pine tree. And then I'm just mounting those two pieces onto a thin strip of the Cave Dive blue cardstock. So I'm going to create several of these cute little fringy pine trees to add to this page. And my idea is not for them to be perfect. They're kind of rustic, they're kind of homespun or have a handmade feel to them, and that's exactly what I wanted. I think that's really fun to create your own embellishments, and I think this would be really fun to do for holiday layouts as well, so keep that in mind. So here I have two of those pine trees on the left and then one of them on the right. And this is where I'm going to start with my layout. Now I know that I want my photos to be side by side, but I want to anchor them with some pattern or with some color. So I'm going to cut a section of this coral ovals paper. This is called the Cosmos paper to kind of anchor these on. Below that, I will add a strip of this aqua polka dot blue branding strip. That is from the Snapshot paper. Now I'm going to move these around several times, but they will stay together. They just will get moved down as I continue on with the design. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere my photos in place, and then I will temporarily adhere those pine trees into place and start working on the rest of my page. Now this kit has all kinds of beautiful colors. For this particular layout, I wanted it to have more of a masculine feel to it, so I did choose to focus on the blues from the kit as well as the oranges, and then that coral or red-orange color that you see there in that Cosmos paper. Now I'm going to turn my attention over to my title. I'm pulling out the puffy alphabet stickers from the main kit, and I'm going to spell out the title to say Rocky Mountain High Recreation. It almost looks like recreation, but it's a recreation because my son was recreating the album cover. You can see there I'm just talking to my husband on the on my cell phone there as I'm working, as he's driving home from work. You probably do that as well, so just kind of ignore that. So I'm going to go ahead and spell out the entire Rocky Mountain High phrase with those puffy alphas, and these alphas are adorable. They're printed with like a denim pattern to them, so they look really cute with the trees and outdoorsy things all throughout this collection. Now for the bottom half of my title, the recreation part, I'm going to be using the brand new alphabet die. These alphabets are adorable. They are 1 inch high, and I know I'm going to be using these a lot. So I'm going to die cut these letters out 3 different times with the 3 cardstocks that I used in the pine trees. The Vacay Orange, the Cave Dye Blue, and the Destiny Aqua. My idea was at first to layer the aqua on top of the darker blue. You can see that I offset them a little bit to create a shadow effect. But then I felt like there was too much blue, so I decided to pop in some of the orange every other letter. So I'm just going back here and adding those orange letters on top of the aqua ones, just so everything has more variety and that it ties into those homespun pine trees that I created earlier. I also used some foam tape strips, some 1/8 inch foam tape strips to pop up those letters. I get those from scrapbook.com. They make it really easy because they're super thin and they fit right behind those letters. So right now they're not adhered quite yet into place, but I will go back and add those. Now I have to add a mountain to this page, right? Any page about Rocky Mountain High or John Denver has got to have a mountain on it. So of course I'm going to pull out that beautiful mountain paper called Let's Go Walking, and I went ahead and fussy cut out the mountain. Now above the mountain there was this beautiful rainbow. I decided just to cut out the yellow and orange stripes from that rainbow to almost represent a sun at the top of the mountains. So I'm going to add that above my photos, but first I'm going to go ahead and adhere down all of those foam letters so that they're all anchored on that coral ovals piece. Now, because I decided to add the mountain to the page, I am going to move down my entire design. Thankfully, it's all kind of anchored on that oval paper, so it makes it nice and easy to make room for this mountain. I will end up moving all of that down 2 more times as I work, so I hope you'll bear with me. Again, here's the second time. I want to make sure that I can have space for those 2 rainbows or arches that are going to represent the sun. So it doesn't quite fit, but I'm thinking to myself that I'm okay with the yellow and orange overlapping the paper, and I'll just deal with that later. Now right here I'm just deciding if I want to center that mountain or if I want it offset to the right. I do decide to offset it to the right because both my son and John Denver in these 2 photos are looking towards the right, so I just felt like that was a more natural flow. I went ahead and trimmed up that mountain piece so that it was flush with the right edge of the paper, and also that left side of the mountain was hidden behind the larger photo. Now, because the orange stripe doesn't quite fit, I decided to trim it off and see if I can get by with just doing the yellow stripe to kind of represent the sun, but it didn't feel quite right. I like how that orange stripe balances the coral or the darker colors at the bottom of the paper, so I decided to try my hand at just trimming it flush with the top edge of the page. I'm not sure I really like that, so I'm just thinking about it for a moment while I work on some other embellishments. Now these are the fabric stickers from the main kit, and I am in love with these. In fact, Kimberly, I think you should make every single one of those stickers into a t-shirt. They are freaking adorable. I love them. So I'm going to use this one that says Time to Explore to the left of my title. I didn't adhere it down yet, but I will come back to it in a second. Here's where I'm going to kind of fuss with that orange stripe a little bit more. I wanted it on there, but I decided that I don't like it overhanging the top edge of the layout. So I'm just going to use a circle tool here to trim it down a bit smaller, and then I'm going to mat it again on some white cardstock so that it has the same look and feel as the original. I like this a lot better, so I go ahead and adhere it back into place. But guess what? I am going to come back and move everything down a 3rd time. So in the meantime, I am going to go ahead and adhere my pine trees into place. I know that I'm going to ruffle up those pine tree needles. And so as I do that, I don't want the adhesive to show underneath. So again, I'm using those thin 1/8 inch foam strips from scrapbook.com just to adhere those pine trees into place so that when I do ruffle up all those pine needles, you don't see all the foam tape underneath. And I really like that. Now, I'm not quite sure. I love those fabric stickers, but I'm looking through the die cuts first to see if there's anything else I might want to add around the title. I do find this floral diamond piece that I'm going to actually layer up with that fabric sticker, and then I do add a teepee to the right. As I sift through these, I think I actually don't think I find anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out the chipboard pieces from the embellishment kit and look for some pieces there. I did find this phrase that says make memories wherever you go in a coral color, and I pulled that out because I like that it's repeating the coral color of that Cosmos oval paper that I used at the bottom of the layout, so it balances the color there. So I do decide I love this fabric sticker, but I do want to pop it up. So I'm going to go ahead and mat it on some white cardstock. I'm just fussy cutting around that, and then that will allow me to add some foam tape to the background so it doesn't, collapse once it's under a sheet protector. So I'll go ahead and put that in place. And now I'm going to sift through the chipboard pieces again. I'm starting to look for pieces to help me balance out the colors. I've got the navy blue going on that's quite prominent. I also had the orange and yellow at the top of the page, and I want to bring some of that orange and yellow down to the bottom. So I'm going to look for some buttons that I can add to that teepee die cut, as well as some other pieces just to help me round out the colors around the page. While I'm sifting through those chipboard pieces, I find this large floral Aztec diamond piece that I'm going to add to the top right corner of my son's photo. And I really like how that layers together with that phrase. I also add in a navy blue chipboard heart to the center of the Aztec piece, just to bring a little bit of that navy blue up towards that piece. And then you can see down by the teepee, I have found a small blue chipboard button. And then I'm also going to find like a smaller like gold sunshine. I really like that large button, but it felt too big. So I'm going to use this smaller sunshine piece. I will add some twine to that chipboard button. And then I'm going to also add in a tiny little phrase that says, "Let's go," and add that below the teepee there. So I will go ahead and tear that off camera. I also found that chipboard arrow. I really like that because it has the feathers hanging down and it almost frames out that phrase really nicely. Like, I'm really loving how all those pieces layer together. So I've got the phrase on top of the floral. I will nestle in that navy chipboard heart in the center of the Aztec diamond, which fits really nicely underneath that space on the right side of the phrase. And then that chipboard arrow with the feathers dangling down really frame out the phrase on the left side. So I love how that came together. It's looking super cute. Okay, so here's where I decide, you know what, I'm going to move it down again because I just want a little more breathing room around that mountain at the top. I do still want a little sliver of the white pattern to show at the bottom, so I'm making sure to still leave that, but I am going to move everything down a third time just to add some breathing space around those sun rays at the top of that mountain, and that feels a lot better to me. Now, I also wanted to bring some more of that coral color up towards the top portion of the page. So I find this coral journal block that I tuck behind the top right corner of the John Denver photo. And then I'm going to come back with some coral colored paper in a minute from the Pocket Life kit to add behind the top left of my son's photo. Now, in the meantime there, you can see that I added some more yellow towards the bottom of the page with that fabric banner piece that says, let's see, "Enjoying the fresh air." So I mat that on cardstock as well so that I can add that to the bottom. And then that completes that visual triangle of the oranges and yellows, bringing that down to the bottom of the page. And then, like I mentioned before, I'm going to add in this coral ledger paper to bring the coral up to the top of the page. I went ahead and created some journal strips on my computer to add to this page, telling the story about my husband and my son on their road trip and recreating this photo from John Denver's album. I love how this page turned out. I love those homespun pine trees. I think they're super cute. I'm definitely going to try that on a holiday page. And then I am loving the June 2023 kits. If you haven't picked them up, I strongly suggest that you do. They are gorgeous. And also subscribe to the Hip Kit Club YouTube channel so you can see what the other designers make with this kit. All right, guys, my name is Jana Eubank for Hip Kit Club. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.